Welcome back to another episode of Have a Strong Weekend. I am one of your co-hosts. They call me Andrew.
And they call me Chico.
That was last week.
That was last week. I am your co-host, Josh. Welcome, one and all. It's after hours.
We can start our weekend right now. And we're glad that you are starting your weekend with us. So thank y'all for being here.
First of all, I'd like to comment on my hair. What is happening right
now? Is your studio 100% humidity? What's going on in there?
Yeah. Is the humidity out of control, or
did you just
decide not? Like someone turns the fan on it. I have let my hair grow out, and the reason is because I've lost so much hair back here. I mean, you can't see it great, but it's thinning, and so I'm just trying to hang on to what shred of youth I have left.
You don't need to do that. Just get that black spray paint and just spray that spot.
I wish that actually looked better, because I probably would consider it, but I think about it and I'm like, I'll just go bald.
I was watching one of those infomercials where they have that, and they make it look so good on the infomercial, but I noticed that it's always in a really dark room, and there's not really any lighting. Like the walls are black and everything is black.
Like one spotlight.
Yeah, and are
they being interrogated?
It's like there's no way that you could walk outdoors and people not realize that you've got spray paint in your hair. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's an option.
No.
Well, we are up to letter D. And we've been going on this alphabetical journey through the history of forgotten and not so forgotten and half remembered television.
Mm-hmm.
And I found a show that I thought really fit that bill. The show is Danger Mouse.
You hear Danger Mouse come up in conversation here and there when people start talking about memories of shows they watch. That one inevitably comes up in conversation.
It's weird. I would think it would come up in conversation more, but it really it
doesn't that often.
Yeah,
it's not that often.
In a while.
Yeah, I think it is in the somewhat obscure category. People know the name very well, but I still think it's sort of like semi-obscure.
There's a musician that has taken his name from the TV show. Sometimes when you hear Danger Mouse, or usually when you hear Danger Mouse nowadays, it's referring to him. I don't know anything about his music. I didn't listen to any of his music to prepare for the show, but I know that there is a performing artist, musician named Danger Mouse. That's all I know.
That is true, and I'm gonna do some very fast research. So Danger Mouse was partners with Gnarls Barkley.
I know Gnarls Barkley.
And then Gnarls Barkley, of course, has CeeLo Green in it, and he was pretty popular. Does that make me crazy? Yeah. That guy. So
that song inevitably pops up on one of my playlists. Every time I hear it, I'm like, I need to add that. I need to add that to my playlist, to my workout playlist, or my tennis playlist, or my around the house playlist. I like that song.
It's a good song. I think they were a creative duo. And say what you will about modern music. I certainly have, I'll listen to I'll listen to playlists from 2009. Like, what were the hits? And a lot of them I do not recognize. I must have been tuned out quite a bit, but some of them I do. And, that song, Crazy by Gnarls Barkley, I thought it was definitely one of the better tunes, and that came out over the years. So yeah, good. Yeah, that's right. Danger Mouse. That's right. He took it.
Yeah. This was a show that was very popular for a moment in time. It ran in the early 80s. I think the original release was 81. Pretty much, I mean, it ran for 9 or 10 seasons, I think. And we know it. It was produced in the UK. It's very British. But the way that the way that we know the show is because it would appear on Nickelodeon in the mid 80s.
Yep.
And I was a big Nickelodeon fan there for a stretch of 2 or 3 years. And I have a feeling that a lot of the shows that pop up on this podcast will be pulled from the Nickelodeon heyday, the golden era of Nickelodeon, which for me is 85 to like 88, 89, something like that.
Yeah,
Maybe a little bit
Nickelodeon.
before that.
What a lot of good memories of Nickelodeon. It used to be more of like just a retro channel. I mean, you would have original shows, but it was like Mr. Wizard and like stuff that was very low rent, and then they would play.
You
they
can't
had
do
Nick
that
at
on
Night.
television.
You can't do that on television. It was like those kinds of things. And then the newer Nickelodeon was like they would have shows like tweener shows where it was like kids, and they started producing more of those types of things, more kind of emulating the way Disney did it for a while. Having young teens shows. So that was after our time. But yeah, before that it was like a little bit more low rent and. Lots of reruns of stuff, and this was one of them.
Those were cheap shows to purchase, that were in syndication that you could just throw on your network, and you didn't have to pay a lot for them. And I'm assuming Danger Mouse was a similar deal. But Danger Mouse is he's actually a mouse. And he's a secret agent, and the parody of it's obviously they're trying to do a James Bond, Sherlock Holmes kind of thing, which are also both very British. Because he has the Sherlock Holmes thing, he's got a sidekick named Penfold, which is a weird name, who is kind of his Watson. But Danger Mouse is actually a mouse. He's a white mouse with a patch over his eye. And for the longest time, I wondered how he got that patch over his eye. I don't know if they ever explain it, but he's a secret agent who lives actually in a mailbox. And every episode the opening of every episode shows the mailbox that he lives in. And it's that very British looking circular mailbox.
This is how British the show is. The episode we're going to talk about is called Custard.
Okay, so the first note I have is, what is custard? I know what I know what
I don't know.
I know.
Is it some egg mixture or something? Like
I guess I don't know what custard. I mean,
it's
I guess
not yogurt.
It's not yogurt. It's not flan.
What is custard? That's what
custard.
I'm literally searching. What is custard?
I don't know what it is. I don't know. I mean, okay. I think it's something that accompanies. Okay.
I've got it right here. So I love our show because we learn on the show too.
we learn things that everybody else probably already knows, but
yeah, I'm pretty sure. So this is a culinary preparation based on sweetened milk, cheese, or cream cooked with egg or egg yolk to thicken it, and sometimes also flour, cornstarch, gelatin. So I would say this is probably as close to pudding as you're going to get. Like a British pudding is probably the way I would describe this. It's pretty close.
Do you eat Well, you may not know. Do you eat custard like you would eat pudding? Like, do you just get a bowl of custard, or is it like an ingredient, or is it an ingredient that enhances pie? I mean, I've heard of custard.
Yeah, you do use it for sure in other things, but yeah, like people will just eat custard, something like that.
Something like that.
One of them countries, and and there's flavoring vanilla, chocolate, lemon. I mean, it's pretty close. Even like the pictures of custard is like it's pudding, So it's like I guess you would see it as like a kid snack or any snack, a dessert, Now
we know it is. Well, thank you, because I really did not know what it was. It's not something that is very prevalent in our house, but yeah. So
yellow matter custard.
Well, that's kind of my knowledge of custard is from the Beatles. I mean, a lot of the things I know are from the Beatles, but yeah. All right. So the episode is called Custard, and the episode is about, and we're going to show a couple clips from it, but the episode is, it's pretty funny. It's what happened. So there's a villain that kind of plays your typical Bond villain. His name is Baron Silas Greenback, and he's trying to, and he's a frog, or a toad. He's a toad, and so he's trying to his goal, I think, in every episode, at least every episode that I remember, is to rule the world. And the way that he's going to rule the world in this particular episode is to booby trap the entire world in custard. So he lays these little bombs or little explosives in every tin of custard, and so as people eat it around the world, it explodes. And so after a day or so, the whole world is just drowning in custard.
I'm not sure how that makes it world domination.
I mean, I guess there are easier ways.
Yeah. I mean, are they like, because he's not really, because it's a cartoon, so he's not really trying to kill other people or characters. It's just like the custard explodes, and then they're like,
well, maybe he's trying to, maybe this is like a slow play. Maybe the goal is to force everyone to gorge themselves in custard, and then they all, I don't know.
Or maybe it's just like he wreaks havoc, and like basically showing how much havoc he can wreak. So then it's control, But
so everybody's so focused on the custard, that they're not focused on the daily activities of protecting themselves and those kinds of things. they're distracted by the custard, and then he's able to sort of swoop in, take over the world. Not bad.
Makes sense. I'll agree to that.
Yeah, let's go with that.
Yeah, whatever.
So Danger Mouse and Penfold, they decide to seek out the only being in the universe that can help them, which is the Custard Mite of Glut. And they go to this planet where they find these custard mites that will then consume all the custard back on planet Earth, and therefore being able to save the world as he does. So let's tell you what. Let's take a minute and watch this first clip.
All right.
Well, that confirms where we are then. I can't think what they'll do with 99 bicycle clips. By the way, have we got 99 bicycle clips?
We've got 3, Chief.
What is happening?
Hardly.
Yeah, perhaps when they said bicycle clips, they meant toothbrushes.
Yes. Penfold, you're
I don't know what's going on.
I have a reason for showing this clip. I should have set it up a little better.
We passed that fat man on the bicycle.
It's very Yellow Submarine.
Grief.
Well, that was That was going to be my that was my reason for setting it up.
Okay.
I watched that clip, and the first thing that popped out to me, and another Beatles reference, was the similarities in animation to Yellow Submarine. There's two things sort of happening with this episode that I immediately latched onto. One is that there's a lot of Star Wars-ish references. The fact they go to outer space and are looking, and they're being chased by spaceships. And then also the Yellow Submarine references just now, where you're mixing this it's almost like mixed animation. You're doing some sort of live action stills mixed in with very basic animation. Not basic animation. I think that's probably an insulting way of putting it. I think the animation actually is really good on this show. I was sort of impressed at how I think the animation holds up. You couldn't really tell it from that clip. We'll show another clip in a minute, which you may or may not be able to tell from. But I don't know. But what do you think of the production values? I have two thoughts on the production values. One, that I thought when there was actual animation, it was pretty good. But I have another thought that I'll share with you after you tell me what you think.
Yeah, no, I think it's pretty good. I mean, it's dated for sure, so you just have to be aware of, when it came out. But I maybe it's just nostalgia. I don't know, but I always prefer older school animation. I still enjoyed effects when they were, live, because I don't think there's anything wrong with that stuff, even as it becomes sort of corny, so I think it's good.
Well, here's another clip. What I was going to say is, and I hope that this clip supplements my thoughts on it. But one of the things that I noticed is that when you see, you can tell that they reuse animation a lot on this show. A lot of the different scenes are like, you never see their mouths moving. Their mouths are almost always covered up in some way, whether they're like Penfold might be below the table, so you can't really see his mouth moving, or Danger Mouse may be steering a wheel, and so the steering wheel is covering his mouth. And my thought is that they do that so they can basically reuse the same, the same little snippet of animation without having to change much, because you don't see their mouths moving, so you can pretty much just overlay any kind of audio or dialogue over it. But here's another clip that I thought was pretty cool. Get a little audio here.
What the good goose?
Space Invaders.
Crumbs, Chief, they're catching up on us.
Right, no time to lose them.
So you don't see their mouths moving there.
Left a bit.
That's
Steady.
a good point.
Right.
I never noticed that.
Right a bit. Fire.
I like the music too.
Got it. Let's go.
But, Chief, you've won a free game.
I'll leave that to our one-eyed friends.
Good one.
Space Invaders reference. So this episode
Space
came out in
Invaders.
1981. Space Invaders hadn't been out that long, so I thought that was pretty funny.
I know it's around the time of Atari and that getting popular, so they had a quick capitalization on that stuff. That's fun.
Yeah.
I remember, speaking of Star Wars and Atari, I had just literally 2 days ago when you had that Atari system. I can't remember what model that was, but we played Empire Strikes Back on it, and I thought you guys were rich because you owned it.
Because we owned an Atari 2600.
I don't know why, because we also owned an Atari. So.
Were you living in a trash can?
I don't know. What, am I Oscar the Grouch? Like, what's going on? Yeah. But I remembered that the memory. I can picture it like it was yesterday. The TV in your house was the floor TV, and it was against the wall right next. Like you'd walk in the door. So if you walk in the door and you went to your right and went down those. It was like a couple steps.
It was a couple steps.
And then the TV was on the wall right there, still facing out to the right. And that I remember playing Empire Strikes Back. I mean, I probably was like 4. I mean, like 5.
Yeah.
You know?
Because that would have been, I think we got our Atari 2600 in maybe 83. So I was
So I would have been like
probably
5.
I was probably 6 or 7, and you were probably 4 or 5. Yeah, that's right. And
Yeah.
the only thing you didn't mention is you didn't mention all the wood panel that was
The wood panels. Yes.
the walls were wood panel, the TV had wood panel, and the Atari
We all had
2600
it.
the Atari 2600 had wood paneling.
And you guys were rich.
God.
I don't know what my problem was. I thought you guys were wealthy because you had a 2-story home. Like I had weird ideas of what that meant. Now I'm like, huh? Like it's just like stairs. Like, but then I was like, whoa! Like, oh, and you guys had a trampoline. I was like, I think my parents were really restricting our enjoyment. I'm like,
so many
they have
dangerous things.
They got a trampoline. They have stairs. They have Empire Strikes Back on Atari.
That Empire Strikes Back game was pretty awesome.
It was awesome. Yeah.
It was one scene. There was one level.
Yeah.
And it was basically just all you did was shoot Imperial walkers. And that was it. That was the game.
That was it. So much fun.
There was no other level. There was no other. That was it. I don't remember when Atari games started going. I mean, that was pretty much all Atari games where it was basically one screen,
one dimension,
and you didn't go to another. I think the first game that I remember where you could actually go to a different screen was like ET maybe, where you'd be on a screen and you could go to the right or the left, and you would go to another screen, like another set.
It was like.
It was like, wow, this is advanced. But yeah,
the graphics are awesome.
Yeah, Empire Strikes Back. That was
good memory. Anyway, didn't mean to derail the Danger Mouse conversation, but I had to tie those two things together.
Right. No, that's fine. Did you watch Danger Mouse a lot? Did you remember this show?
Yes, I didn't watch it as much as a lot of other cartoons. Mm-hmm. It was one in my repertoire, but I think I was more into certainly like I watched G.I. Joe a lot. Mm-hmm. I watched Heathcliff. I don't know if you remember the show, a cartoon. Heathcliff was basically kind of playing off Garfield, but it was called Heathcliff.
Were those on Nickelodeon too?
I don't know. I don't think that one was on Nickelodeon. I don't remember what channel, but I used to watch it after school. I watched Scooby-Doo on the Saturday morning Cartoon Express on USA on the USA Network. I watched Scooby-Doo, and then Transformers. Yeah. So, but Danger Mouse was one of them, but it was just more of a blip on the radar for me.
Yeah, Danger Mouse, I think, was big in our house because I had 2 younger brothers that...
Yeah, I was the youngest, so that makes sense.
Yeah, and they both were really into cartoons. And so because they were into cartoons, I was into cartoons. So we watched Danger Mouse actually a lot. And I got really into it. I thought it was... I didn't pick up on a lot of the James Bond parody references, whatever you want to call it, and it didn't even really sort of occur to me that it was so British. I just felt, I mean, it felt just different in a weird way. Well, what's interesting is that this show debuted. This show was released in the UK on ITV, which was their version of PBS. It was ITV stood for Independent Television. And it was just one of those shows that was really popular overseas. And Nickelodeon basically took it from them in like the early 80s. So this show broadcast in the UK in 81, I think, and then in America we got it about 3 years later, so we got it in 84. So you would have been, you were still pretty young, but
yeah, for sure, 5 or 6 or whatever. And So it would have been in there for sure. And I remember watching it and not knowing, being British, but I didn't put it together. And, it's when you're a kid, these cartoons, especially, they're most guilty of just like the audience has to just accept what the scenario is. Like there's no real like explanation for a lot of stuff. It's just like to hold a child's attention, basically. So they're just like, hey, look over there. It's like the kid's like,
in a weird way, you could just pretty much throw anything at us and we would have been fine, probably.
I think so. Yeah.
But this one was silly, but I also felt this one. There's something about it that's just a little bit more evolved and a little more substantive than I think others. I mean, it's ridiculous, but like it's also, I don't know. I found it very entertaining, and I really like the evil toad, Baron Greenback. He's got a very distinct voice. I don't have any clips with him, but for those who want to check it out, I mean, Danger Mouse. There's a lot of episodes on YouTube that you can go watch. But I really liked this one a lot. This Custard episode is from season 2. I think it's the season premiere of season 2, So definitely early on in the show. Sure.
I miss all the, it's all nostalgia, of course, just like we all do. But those days, you just, they go so fast and suddenly they're a memory, it's just like like flashes, pictures of you watching and doing things, all these cartoons and like, you can only think of good memories, obviously, because, you didn't have any responsibility at the time.
Right.
So just like really, really fun times. But this cartoon was one of them. You see it, and you just like, immediately you're just taken back to like, what was I eating at the time? Like, what was I always playing and making plans to play?
We like to play.
Yeah, I like to play. Play.
But yeah, so that's Danger Mouse, man.
Fun times.
I like to always ask, out of 10 tins of custard, how many tins of custard do you give this one out of 10?
I give it 6 cans of custard. I think that's probably where I stand on Danger Mouse. 6 cans of custard. I hope they don't explode.
I'm going to go one better. I'm going to give it 7 out of 10 tins. Right. 7 out of 10 tins. 10 tins. Yeah. 7 out of 10 tins of custard.
I can see that.
Yeah, I liked it. It was. I thought the animation was good. I liked, and I definitely liked. I think I like it more now than I did back then, because now I'm able to sort of pick up some of the Yellow Submarine references, the James Bond references,
more for like the art of it and stuff. Yep.
Yeah. Really cool show. So, hey, that's D. That's letter D.
We did it. Yeah. I'm excited about letter E. We got to figure out where we're headed.
Yeah. Who knows? Who knows where we're headed? But yeah, if you come back next week, you will know.
That's correct.
All right, Josh, you wanna tell everybody where they can find us?
Yes, we have a fun. I don't know what you want to call it. What do you call it? Chat page at Facebook. We call it Josh and Drew Cocktails and Dreams. Join us there in that chat group. We've got we're on Instagram, of course. We've got YouTube. I'm sure eventually we'll be on other platforms as well. But certainly like us, comment, go easy on us, but troll us and we don't care. Whatever.
No, we're good with trolls.
We're good with trolls. So thanks very much for watching. We appreciate it. Have a strong weekend. And Andrew, you have a strong weekend too.
You have a strong weekend too. See you next week, Josh.
All right. Take care. We'll see you guys.